character animation in After Effects. That's what we're going to work on today. Now, it's going to be fairly limited. We're just taking an illustration that was actually never meant for animation, and we're going to break it up into pieces, add a little bit of animation to it, see what happens. So if that sounds of interest to you, then you're in the right place. So to get the ball rolling, we initially want to prepare our vector artwork for animation. So I'm taking the knife tool inside of Adobe Illustrator to slice those lines, break things up, and as I separate something, I create a new layer, copy it to that so that I know what I'm left with. Just making my way through that, each individual leg. You know, I'm not gonna do anything with the feet, so you know, it's just kind of thinking ahead, what am I looking to do here? And then it's a matter of bringing everything together. So I'm taking the outline and the colored artwork, bringing them together for each piece. And then as they're together, I make sure that they still, you know, fall into place and are stacking upright, and the whole thing still looks like the illustration. Next, we jump into After Effects, and we're gonna import that vector artwork. I want to make sure to import it as a composition and retain those layer sizes. So that way, you know, the bounding box will just be around the piece that you're working on, as opposed to the size of the entire artboard. Next, we're going to build a simple rig, and this is extremely simple. First, we take it's that little box tool at the top there, and we're moving the pivot point essentially for each of these layers or pieces of the pig. To do that, you click on it, you grab that little hot spot or pivot point and move it to the place where it's going to rotate on each element of the pig here. And then finally, I'm using the little whip tool, that little squiggly line there, to link the different pieces together. You know, so if the core of my character is the pelvis, that's kind of where everything pivots from generally, then I'm gonna, you know, link the body to that, I'm gonna link the head to the body, and so on and so forth. So I go through this pretty quick, but it's fairly standard. You know, you just kind of work your way from the center outward, and it might take a little bit of trial and error, but go ahead and play with that, and I'm sure you can slow this down and freeze frame it and see exactly how I link things up if you need that. Quick interruption. If you found this helpful, you're liking what you're hearing so far, go ahead and give us a like, and then don't forget to subscribe. Helps us out a ton. Thanks. So, with regard to the next step, which is animation and blocking, essentially on frame 0, I want to be able to be sure that I select everything, you know, hit P for position, hold down Shift, hit R for rotation, and at least keyframe those on all of my items here on frame 0, just so I have that original spot. And then once we've got that figured out, we can go ahead and animate individual element. And you know, I didn't have a for sure plan here. I just knew that I wanted this to be kind of a resting animation for the character, where he's just kind of shifting his weight, maybe looking around, moving his arms. You know, he'll be breathing. You know, and then later on, I didn't do this initially, but I add an eye blink, a couple of them. So that goes a long way, I think, to making this more lifelike and realistic. So check that out at the end of the video. So it's just a matter of making things move right now. You know, timing is secondary. So I'm just dropping in keyframes. I know I want him to look from side to side. I'm shifting his body, I'm moving arms, things like that. And I'm just dropping in keyframes wherever they land. And then as I do some play blast and play it through a few times, I can see like, okay, the eyes move too quickly, or you know, he looks one way and looks back the other, you know, too quickly. Once again, those things can be edited. Now at this point, I'm doing some animation with the puppet pin tool. And so that's helpful because, yeah, I have joints on that arm there, on his left arm, but you know, that detailed tattoo will kind of fall apart. And so dropping in some pins and moving those, repositioning them, rotating them, and I'm using the kind of advanced pin tool. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it allows you to position it, rotate it, you know, scale it, has all those controls on one pin. So that helps to add a little bit more fluidity to the character's movements, as opposed to just having real hard breaks like a traditional kind of puppet animation. And don't get that confused, puppet animation with puppet tool, because the puppet tool helps to make things a little smoother. And I'm applying it to other parts of the body, as you can see. Just after I have that blocking in, it's like, okay, what areas can you know, benefit from that? Then I continue to play it through, scrub my playhead back and forth, just to see how everything's working. If I'm seeing anything break down, you know, making the small adjustments to make that happen. And you know, I mentioned when I was cutting up the vector illustration that I kept the legs as one piece, but thanks to the puppet tool, still able to get some movement in the ankle, for example. So check that action out. Now, you know, we've done kind of some initial refinement, but take it to the next level, which is working with curves and getting those nice eases and ins and outs and what have you. And so the way you do that is you select something, you know, over there in the layers, so the body in this case, and select the rotation, and then there's a little icon up there in the upper right of that layer panel. You can see it's blue right now. Select that and it'll put you into curve mode, and then you can adjust those different curves. And what I've found is you know, once you select those, there's, you know, it looks like it's not showing up on my screen capture here, but there's a little setting at the below those curves where you can split the X and Y axis of those up, which gives you more flexibility and everything doesn't move together. So check that out. Again, this could be an entire you know, series in and of itself, how to work with curves, and it's something that, you know, I can improve on myself for sure. But just know that it's there, and that's a way to get things to move more smoothly, a little less robotic-like, and hopefully that helps. As part of the refinement, jumping into some of the stuff I've done before, you know, working with the puppet tools some more. And then I've pre-comped everything, so this whole pig animation is in its own kind of grouped composition now, and I'm using the scale tool in just kind of the vertical axis and doing subtle scale up and down to kind of simulate breathing. You know, there are definitely more elegant ways to do that, but it does the job. Now it's time to drop in a camera and add some movement with the camera. So the character's still just standing there, but we're gonna zoom in on them in an interesting way, if you will, to add even more life to the shot. So after dropping in the camera, you know, I split my view so that on the right hand side I'm working in the 3D view. I can kind of see how far away my camera is, and then I'm just playing around. It's preference, you know, just one steady slow zoom, you know, is that what I want? And eventually I decide that I want to do kind of a fast, I forget the technical term, but just kind of a quick zoom in to one point, hold for a second, zoom in further, kind of add some drama, if you will. And then finally, this is that bonus piece that I decided to add after seeing the animation come together. It needed something else. So I decided to add some eye blinks, and what that requires me to do is jump back into my original artwork. So you can right click on the artwork there on the left hand side and say edit original, and then that opens it back up in Illustrator. And then again, just using the knife tool, kind of cutting up those pieces that make up the eye. So right now the outline, you know, I decided I want kind of the outline around the eye separate from the eyebrow. So I break those apart, which will give me the ability to kind of use the puppet tool to move those independently and add some kind of significant changes to the shape to get that eye blink. Now there are definitely other ways to do this, but this is all about animating something that you weren't planning on animating initially. That's the whole goal for me here. So now I re-import this file and it comes in with all of the pieces, but I just need, you know, these new pieces. Yeah, I had to bring it in to my current After Effects composition. And then you can see I've dropped in some puppet pins and playing with how that closes, kind of hoping that this is gonna feel right when I speed it up and mask out the iris and everything, and get both sides kind of working together. And now it's a matter of animating the mask, and initially it wasn't working, or so I thought, and that was because I had both masks visible, so I had to hide one of them and just work on the one, and then hide that one, work on the other, test it out a couple of times, you know, go back in, make some adjustments. So once we've got the eyes opening and closing, it's a matter of making them actually blink. So essentially what I do here is just take that initial close animation and copy those first frames of when they were open and paste them on the other side of the timeline from the close animation. So it's just going from open to close to back to that open state. And you can see I decided to use the more advanced puppet tool, so I've got scale and rotation in there, which I didn't really need. So just to keep the keyframes a little cleaner, I've gone through and deleted the keyframes on scale and rotation. Not necessarily, but I did it. I'm gonna be honest. And so once we've got the eyes opening and closing as a blink, I can play with the timing. I can watch it, you know, in the sequence with the rest of my animation, you know, the camera zoom, everything, and kind of decide, you know, is one blink enough? Do I need to do two? And I decided I did. So I went ahead and duplicated the keyframes from, you know, the 3-second mark over to, you know, almost the 4-second mark or something, so that there was a good space in between the blinks. So after that, it's just a matter of rendering this thing. And so you just make sure you're on that highest level composition, and in my case it's the main composition, and just head on up to the menu up there to composition, I believe, and then add to render queue and update your settings a little bit. You know, I kept it as a high quality and a raw file, and rendered it to main.mov. Now, just a couple of gotchas for those of you who stayed with me for the whole time. Appreciate that. You'll notice that in the end, this vector animation stayed super clean and crisp throughout the whole thing. And initially, I had checked on the layers this column with where it's the continuous rasterization column. You know, I had all those checked, but things got weird and didn't work out right. So I unchecked that, but instead played with the anti-aliasing column, which gave me the results I wanted. But now there are different settings there. You know, the default is just kind of this sharp linear setting. Tried that, didn't like how it looked, wasn't as good as it could have been. And then there's this kind of curved line. I set everything to that, and boom, my final animation looked sweet. So just a little gotcha. Thank you for your time. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for watching this video. And if you found it useful, please, you know, give it a like. I'm gonna ask you to do another thing. Subscribe to the channel. Tell me that you want more of this, and we'll get her done. Thanks a lot.